Cool, we're on time, but can someone real quick check with Christian if he's able to join? Eric or Ziad?
I sent him a message on Slack. What slides is he supposed to be covering?
So he's not covering the slides. I'll be covering the snaps part mostly, but just for questions.
Yeah, if he's not coming, there are any questions, I'm sure we can answer them between all of us.
Yeah, I did send another message out to him though, just in case.
Cool, so we're on time. All right, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the first MetaMask Developer Community Call of 2024. I hope this year has been off to a good start for you all so far. We certainly have a lot going on under the hood, so a lot of new updates for the community that we'll be going over today. And yeah, it's going to be an action-packed agenda today, covering all the MetaMask stuff, MetaMask Snaps, SDK, MIP, and Gas API, along with some updates on what you can expect in the coming months, navigating through this year. But before we start, if this is not your first time here, you've probably seen me around, but in case not, my name is Manveer. I work as a developer community manager with Consensus, focusing majorly on MetaMask, and I host these community calls on a monthly basis to share with you all that we've been working on, to hear from you how you feel using our products, building on our products, and working as a bridge between the community team and the Consensus team. That being said, we have an amazing lineup of guests today with us. But before I introduce them to you, here's the quick agenda for this call. So after the introductions, we'll be announcing the MetaMask Gas API that we launched roughly 2 months back. We did announce that over the past few months at multiple events as well. And we've been getting some really good projects that we've been seeing at various hackathons. Then we'll be going through MetaMask Snaps. We'll be doing a quick intro and use cases and recent developments around it. Then we have some really good projects to showcase today out of ETHGlobal Istanbul hackathon. Following which, we'll be going through MetaMask SDK, basic overview, followed up with integration and all that's new with SDK. And after that, we'll be going through MetaMask API and MetaMask Improvement Proposals, followed by Q&A and updates. So that's about it. A lot going on today, very action-packed agenda. So that being said, quickly welcome the guests today. So we have with us Eric Bishard, Ziad. We also have Christian Montoya, I believe, or he'll be joining super soon. But until he joins, Eric, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Eric Bishard, and I am a DevRel here at MetaMask. I focus mostly on the SDK and MetaMask API. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Ziad, would you like to go next?
Oh yeah, man. Hi, GM everyone. I'm Ziad. I've been with MetaMask for a little over a year now. And hey, Christian. And I do DevRel for Snaps, which is a very exciting product. And yeah, so my role is to help developers make sure that they have everything they need to work on Snaps. And you can find me on Telegram, Ziad MTL, and I'd be happy to meet you and hear what you'd like to work on. And Christian can go next.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Christian. I've been with MetaMask for 2 years now, and I lead developer innovation at MetaMask. So supporting developers building with the DApp API and with Snaps. And very happy to be that we're having this community call and we can show you all the cool stuff that's being built at MetaMask and Consensus.
Awesome, great. Before we get started, I would like to congratulate Kristen on completing 2 years with consensus this month, and also transitioning into the product lead role for MetaMask Developer Innovation. And also congratulations to Eric for completing 2 years, if I'm not wrong, this month itself. Cool.
Thank you.
Well, we have a lot more guests with us joining today. We have Vandan Parekh, who is Staff Product Manager on MetaMask API. We have Alexander Doneski, Shane Jonas, Zach Belford, Jixi Luan, who are all senior full stack engineers at MetaMask. Then we have Thomas and Thomas, who are software engineer and engineer respectively. We'll be having them super soon, as soon as we're done with the MetaMask SDK part. But until then, let's get started. Cool. So to begin with Gas API. Oh yeah. Francesco, welcome aboard, Francesco. How are you doing?
It's all good, guys. No. Hey guys, what's up? I'm here to respond questions and super excited about this long community call. It's very exciting because those are great topics, and I think Mambir was able to squeeze everything in, and it's amazing. So welcome everybody, and feel free to ask questions. And yeah.
Awesome. Welcome, Francesco. Great to have you with us. Cool. Just to get started, we have the Gas API. So just to recap, I think we have already touched base on Gas API over the past few months, but what is it? So imagine sending text messages with 60% failure rate or 5-minute delays. That would be very frustrating. That's not the way, right? The Gas API gives you the same tool that powers MetaMask gas fee estimator, which is a battle-tested API, and it's now available through Infura. So MetaMask has been famously using this Gas API to provide gas estimation features for millions of users worldwide, and developers now get the same benefits to get gas estimations, to get network congestion, and so on for a DApp or for their users. So as you can see on the screen, there's the MetaMask system. That's what you see on your MetaMask wallet while going through a transaction. And then you have an option to, say, choose a fee, or you have the option to save cost while sending a. So you can use that same API while serving yours as well at this point. So I believe that all the developers out there should care about it, but why should you care about it? So here's a quick benefit summary. You have a choice to save transaction, say transaction costs, or you can send your transaction real quick and save time. So you have a say on what you want. Then there's multi-chain support. We have a huge array of networks, including all the major L1s, all the major L2s that we'll be talking about in just a minute. So it's reliable, it's secure, it's been battle tested, it's available in Infura's trusted platform. So you don't have to worry about scalability or security. And it's very easy to pull the gas-related info from one API. So you can query on network congestion suggestions, and even perform block history analysis. So what can you do with the Gas API? You can fetch real-time gas prices. You can access gas price history. You can get the IP 1559 gas prices. You can get the base fee history. Or you can check how busy the network is, basically the network congestion. And as I mentioned, we have multi-chain support. So you have all your major L1s, including, apart from Ethereum, of course, we have the BNB chain, we have Phantom, we have Filecoin, Kronos, and Avalanche. And we have all the major L2s, including Linea, Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, and ZK Syncera. Cool. So before we go to Snaps, anything to add, Eric, Francesco, or Kristen, Ziad?
One thing I would say is that we previewed the Gas API at ETH India, which we had a bunch of hackers hacking on. And yeah, we got some really good feedback, some tips on how to make it better. And, without people checking out these tools from the community. We don't get that feedback, so definitely reach out to us if you have any feedback on any of these tools.
Awesome. And I can surely drop some links to some of the projects that won at ETH India. So one of them were Gas Genie, which removes the adoption barrier. One of them was SlicePay, which is bridging the gap of crypto-based micropayments and just to manage expenses among various different groups. And then we have Flockchain, which is a federated learning network, which was built on top of proof of stake and micro rollups. I can go ahead and quickly drop a link in the chat to these, but anything to add, Kristen?
Just to add that, so in our documentation now, we have 4 sections. And so the last section is called services, and Gas API is the first service that is in that section. So if you go to our MetaMask docs and you click on services at the top, you'll see the Gas API. So again, just in case this wasn't clear, this is something that before you could get access to through Infura, but now you can get access to it through MetaMask as well. And so any dApp can actually get the same gas calculations that developers have had through premium Infura support in the past. Now you can get it through MetaMask.
Perfect. Go, Zia, anything to add to that? Cool. Looks like we're good.
Not at this time.
All good on my side.
Perfect. So moving on to MetaMask Snaps. I believe since you're here, you probably already have heard of MetaMask Snaps. In case you haven't, are you living under a rock or what? I don't know. But yeah, just kidding. So just to recap, Snaps is a way to safely extend the functionality of MetaMask by adding chain support, feature support, API support, you name it. With MetaMask Snaps, users can safely extend the functionality of MetaMask to, say, non-EVM chains like Bitcoin, Solana, and so on. And you can bring your own features as well, like notifications, insights, and security features as well. All that is now possible with Snaps. Now, we are looking at a bunch of different categories for Snaps. There's interoperability, there's transaction insights, there's privacy, notifications, decentralized identity, and logins. And we have whitelisted a bunch of snaps that you can check out on our snaps directory. And you can install those snaps and get started with them. So just to quickly walk you through, security is an utmost priority for us working at MetaMask. And we feel that should be priority for Snaps developers as well as users. So each snap is isolated, which means that it can access only its own data, not the data of your MetaMask wallet. The Snaps uses which means that every snap has to require permission to do certain actions, like the internet or to send notifications and so on. We also believe that transparency is key. Before you install Snap, you can always verify Snap is hosted. You can verify who the author is. You can even view the source code behind the Snap, which is great. And you can view the permissions, like what all requires. In case the snap that you see on the screen requires access to the internet, it requires access to periodic actions, and so on. Cool. So personalizing your wallet with Snap is easy. Snaps are self-custodial. Snaps live in your wallet, and what you install is all up to you. So before we move on to the next section, we have Kristen Monta himself with us. Kristen, would you like anything to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I've gotten a lot of questions in the past about like, okay, what can snaps do? Should I be worried, right? I know a lot of users always say like, oh, I don't want to install anything into MetaMask. I don't want anything that touches my MetaMask wallet. So one thing I will say is that snaps don't have access to your Ethereum accounts, right? So when you install a snap, it can't do anything with your Ethereum accounts, without you knowing, right? It can't read your private keys. It doesn't read your SRP, anything like that. So we've actually designed the system so that the snaps are sandboxed and separated and isolated from all of your key MetaMask data and your private keys and account information, things like that. And so when you install the snap, you can actually see what it's able to do. And what some of the snaps do, for example, the security related snaps, is they just show you about information about transactions when you're going to make a transaction, right? So they're able to warn you if you're about to do something that's risky. And for things like a Solana snap or a Near snap or a Bitcoin snap, it's able to manage keys for those networks, but it again does not have access to your Ethereum accounts, right? So it's just adding new functionality that you don't already have. And then for things that do notifications like push, what that snap is doing is just able to show you notifications. It's not interacting with your accounts in any way. It's just adding new functionality on top of MetaMask. So when you look through the snaps directory at snaps.metamask.io, you can see what each snap does. And you can see the security audit that was performed on it. So you can see, how it was reviewed. And you can see when you go to install it, you can see the permissions and therefore see what it is the snap is capable of doing. And that way you can rest assured that you understand what the snap does. You can see what it's limited and capable of doing. And there's no concerns about, oh, I'm going to install a snap and it's going to like steal my Ethereum funds. Like that's not something that snaps are capable of doing. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And, one thing I always say is that please have a look at all the snaps that are available and give us some feedback. Like, let us know what you think of it, what you would like to see. It's all based on what users want. And so we're always open to having feedback from users, and that helps us make the platform better.
Awesome. That's some really informative context. Thanks for sharing that, Kristen. Anything to add, anyone, before we move forward? Cool. I think we can move forward then. So time for some demos. So we have some really amazing snaps to showcase today. We have a bunch of winning snaps, hackathon winning snaps that we have from ETHGlobal Istanbul. And to begin with, we have the Ditto Network snap, and we have FM and Vlad from the Ditto Network team who will be presenting us. So Vlad, FM, the stage is all yours. Would you like to introduce yourself and quickly walk us through what you have built?
Yeah, hey everyone. First of all, thanks for inviting us here today. Glad to see everyone. We met in Istanbul. We're currently building basically Ditto network. Right now it's more about like modular infrastructure for account abstraction and all these tools around it. But anyway, maybe let's just get back to what we built during ETHGlobal Hackathon in Istanbul. So it's basically a snap for receiving notifications directly in your MetaMask, and a tool to view smart contract balances that your private key owns on multiple blockchains. And here is Efim. He's gonna like demonstrate the screen and show how it works and how we build it in more detail.
My name is Efim. I'm core developer at Ditto Network, and I'm happy to present to you our snap. So first we connect the wallet to get the interface to install the snap. We trigger the installation of the snap and request all the necessary permissions. After, we can connect notifications to the snap, and after approval, we can see that our MetaMask now is enhanced and has notification connected. As you can see, we have the multi-chain vaults because our vision is an omni-chain future of the EVM and basically all the networks. And our private key that is being inside the MetaMask has the account abstraction wallet on Fuji testnet with some zero AVAX balance. And our snap basically fetches all the interactions with the corresponding addresses and account abstractions that belong to our private key and send this notification to the MetaMask. So as you can see, there was an action, and we now can update the page and see that was actually some transfer of AVAX. So the notification snap successfully retrieved this information from chain and pushed it to the user. Yes, that's basically it about our snap. Feel free to ask any questions.
Awesome. That was really cool. Thanks for showing that.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Zia.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about anything that you might have done since the hackathon, like to continue working on this now?
We have not really improved the snap as was discussed in the hackathon. You are planning to deploy the infrastructure for account abstraction, more integrated into MetaMask, and we thought that it would be more it makes more sense to just wait for you to deploy this infrastructure, and then we build on top of it than just trying to execute it on our own.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, sir. And what I'm going to say next goes for you as well as anyone else who's developing on Snaps. Just know that if you're interested in joining us for a hackathon and you like do a really good project, there is a lot of support that can come after the hackathon. You know, for us, the hackathon is a really good way to get feedback from you guys. But you know, if someone is interested in hacking on a project and then continuing to develop it after the hackathon, we have a lot of ways that we can that we can internally help you pursue your goals.
Okay, thank you. We should contact you more. But I remember the hackathon. It was really a pleasure working with you.
Cheers, man. Likewise.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, just to follow up, Vlad. So yeah, could you tell us more about the resources that you used during the hackathon? Did you use the Snaps monorepo template? Did you use the Snaps docs? And was that helpful?
We used the MetaMask Snap SDK, and it is really well structured SDK, in my humble opinion. Very well explained and very easy to use. So it was a pleasure, and it was really short term, but we still accomplished this. And yeah, thank you for good documentation.
Nice, awesome, cool. Any questions, Kristen, Eric, Francesco?
Then thank you very much for your attention, and we pass the voice to.
That's the MetaMask Snaps SDK NPM package?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. Next up, let me quickly share my screen again. Cool. So next we have the .snap, which was built by Mason Tahar, which is a decentralized app to access delegation with account abstraction. So we have Mason with us, and Mason, I hope you're able to listen to me. Yeah, cool. Great. Could you quickly introduce yourself and walk us through what you built?
Yeah, sure. I'm Mason. Nice to meet you, everybody. Let me share my screen. So that what we built in Istanbul hackathon was a decentralized standard for access delegation with account abstraction. So what this is? Let me play the video. Okay. So this is mainly. For example, let's consider we have a multi-signature wallet on Safe Global, and we should sign each transaction, for example, for swap by 3 or even 10 people. So with our project, with this DAS, we can delegate access to another wallet so that he can send transaction through our smart contract wallet with his own signature, just with his own signature. So we can have a sub wallet that can trade with our smart contract wallet, and it's so much easier. And he will this specific wallet will have access to just swap on Uniswap, and he can't do anything else. Or maybe he can just have access to swap between Arbitrum and Ethereum. So let's consider if this sub wallet is hacked, the hacker can't do anything more than swapping on Uniswap, and it's so much better. So let's see how does it work. We build a plugin for smart contract wallet using account abstraction, and we make some session permissions in this plugin so that other wallets can send transaction through smart contract wallet. The blue route is the main route that standard EOAs work, and the green is the route that we want to send our transactions through another smart contract wallet. And it's so much hard for people to use that if we don't have these snaps, because each dApp should integrate with our plugin so that user can interact with that. For example, let's say Uniswap should send the transactions to our plugin instead of the Uniswap router, and it's so hard. So what we do here, we build a snap that gets the transactions whenever the MetaMask pops on, and send that user can go through our link to our website, through the link on the snap, and in our website we build another transactions that can go through the plugin and through the main smart contract wallet, and from that transaction could destination a smart contract wallet, not our EOA. So a quick demo. For example, let's see a swap on Uniswap using the main smart contract. And here we can see the DAuth snap, and we can go through the link to another website. And here we can initiate another transaction that can go through the main smart contract wallet and not our EOA. And user can sign this through his own EOA and send that through the main smart contract wallet. And that's mostly it. And we have some problems in building this, and we have still this problem. And, it's a little bad experience for user because we can't initiate transactions from Snap. It's for security reasons. That's so reasonable because Snaps, if you can initiate transactions so unsecure, and they can tamper the transactions. And there's another problem that all the validation checks on websites, for example, let's say on Uniswap, when we want to swap and we don't have enough balance, there is an error on UI that said that, oh, okay, you can't send the transactions. And all these validations are checked with our EOA wallet, but we want to send that transactions through the smart contract wallet that has the balance. And this is a little tricky, and this is still a problem in our Snap. And that's mainly it. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for the presentation. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just saying thanks for the feedback.
It's okay. Thank you.
Cool. Any follow-up questions? Kristen, Ziad, Francesco, Eric. I don't.
Maybe just one question. Like, did you guys build a snap through the monorepo, through the example? How you guys start the snap for anybody here that want to build the first snap?
Actually, we built the snap through the template. There was a template snap named, I think, named Transaction Insight Snap. It was so easy to build that, and we built the main boilerplate in 2 or 3 hours of development. That was too straightforward. And thanks for the docs.
Cool. Thanks for joining, Kristen. Great. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, just one more follow-up question. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I have a question? Do you have any plan that users can initiate transactions from Snap? Any possibility that you add this in future?
Ziad, Francesco, Eric, would anyone of you like to take it?
So that would probably be for Ziad, but from what I understand, there isn't a feature in the future for transactions, and but yeah, I think it'd probably be best for Ziad or Christian to answer that one if they're available.
So the Ethereum provider in Snaps has some functions that are disabled at the moment, and there's some technical reasons for that. And I think most of them will eventually be available in the future as we overcome these technical limitations. As for specifically sending a transaction, if we're going to...
Oh, Christian had to leave, but I'll be sure to follow up with him. And
okay, so we are going to follow up. We're going to... I already asked on Slack. We're going to figure it out.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Just a quick follow-up question, Maisam. Do you have any tips for future Snaps developers? What can they keep in mind while they're building, and especially if they're hacking at various ETHGlobal hackathons or...
Yeah. Sure. In my experience, I used some of the snaps that are on the shop right now, and you can install that on your MetaMask Snap. And I got the idea of this snap from, I think it was Tenderly transaction preview. So that was something like this, that shows the transactions, the simulation, and he directs us through another web page to our dashboard on Tenderly. And I think checking all these snaps and the code is on an Node.js npm package, and you can see the code, and you can get so many ideas from all these snaps that are available right now.
Perfect. That's really insightful. So thanks for sharing that. Cool. Moving on. Great. So moving on, next up, we have the cross-chain DAO Snap, and the cross-chain DAO Snap is basically a voting protocol for decentralized governance using MetaMask Snaps. And from the team, we have Simon. So yeah, Simon, would you like to introduce yourself and let us know what you built?
Thanks a lot, Mabir. Yes, I'm Simon. Welcome, everybody, and we're very happy to introduce to you today our cross-chain DAO, our voting snap. So let me share my screen.
Great t-shirt, Simon.
So you see it? Yes, the t-shirt is from Istanbul Global. So we have built our first snap, and we're very thankful about the documentation and the support during the hackathon. So let me play the video and introduce you. We are 5 hackers, so Frank and Emad, our lead hackers, also called today Irmantas and Amir Hussein, and myself. So when we built the snap, we basically first had to connect to our MetaMask wallet, and we were quite happy also that we deployed it on Linear. So how we connected it, then we asked for permission. Exactly, you see what the snap is assessing. Successful connection, be able to make a vote. And we also solving here an issue to go cross-chain. So let's ask the community about voting. In this case, we would like to buy a new desk. And by creating this vote and it for confirmation to MetaMask, everybody who has installed the snap, the voting snap, is getting a notification that there is a new vote and that he actually can vote. And we solve here one of the DAO's issues that a DAO normally is sitting on one chain by going multi-chains. We also think the future is multi-chain. Let's involve also the other communities. So what you see here now, we are waiting for confirmation as we have done some other votings before. You coming in now to buy a new laptop, but we are waiting for a refresh to get our latest notification of buying a desk. So it's refreshing. You see the video was recorded during hackathon, and there's also one topic, the internet during such a hackathon. You need to be more patient for transaction confirmations than usual. So now we check again, refresh again, and we get the notification that there is a new vote. So let's check it. Should we buy a new desk? If we refresh the tab, we also are able to submit our vote. Do you see, should we press yes or no? So let's say yes, we allow, and we want the vote to be counted. And now it's interesting also that everybody installed the MetaMask voting snap is getting the information that there has been a vote. So everybody can basically monitor the count of the votes once the vote confirmed. So a short waiting time, and then the vote should be submitted. The vote is now here. So let's go cross-chain. Let's look at the smart contract side. And our goal here is to increase the vote by 1 outside of Ethereum. So we use the Chainlink cross-chain interoperability protocol. You see on the right side, Frank in the background clicking some coins, sending some. And what we do basically is we copy an address, we counted it with a yes and put it into the Explorer. You see the transaction hash, and in the blockchain Explorer we then update the theory, and then the count, the number should go to 1. So we have basically added 1 vote. Let's see, go to the numbers and see yes. So that's basically what we do, and we, with this stability protocol, allow multi-blockchains to participate in the voting. Thanks so much, and from my side, open for your questions.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Simon, for sharing all that. And it's great to see what you've built. So yeah, quick follow-up. Would love to know more about what you used during building the snap. So did you use the snaps documentation, or did you use the monorepo template? How did you get started?
Yes, for technical questions, I ask Amir Hussein to open his mic and answer this one. Amir, can you join?
Yeah, welcome, Amir. Great to have you with us.
Yes, hello. So for the Documentation, we use the monorepo and the starter kit, and we build our snap on top of this.
Great. Cool. Ziad, Francesco, Eric, any question to ask?
Obviously there was like, those were long 48 hours. What were like the challenges that you guys had on the building the snap side?
One of our challenges was the documentation. We had some hard time to find the permission section in the documentation, and Ziad helped us to find it and complete it. And I think the documentation could be more better.
Those are great feedback. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure to forward that feedback internally to our teams. And thanks for sharing and thanks for presenting.
I'm recording the feedback right now.
Awesome. Cool. Do we have any other questions, Eric, Ziad? If not, we can move forward.
I don't have a question. They already know that I really love the project, but from the team, the question that was asked earlier, that ETH send transaction will be available eventually in
Cool. So okay. We'll keep everyone notified on that. Can you give me the name of your team one more time that just presented?
Cross-chain DAO.
Perfect. Thanks.
And yeah, we would also love to make basically transactions through the Snap. You maybe want to share a coin with your community to allow only the holders of these coins to make transactions. To make votes and not everybody. So the segregation account abstraction is an issue we faced as well as, if you want, for example, a decentral vote in Kenya, you don't want other countries to participate in this Snap vote.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say is that the transactions in Snap, this has been something that we've been thinking about, or at least the Snaps team has been thinking about for quite a while. One, we're going to be working really closely with all of the teams and developers that we talk to from a DevRel perspective. But just know that when that comes out, it's going to be very obvious, and we're going to make a lot of noise around it because it's a very highly anticipated feature.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks a lot for joining, Simon and team. It was great having you with us. And before we move on, I do have a few more things to show to you. I'll quickly share my screen. So I wanted to quickly showcase the Web3 antivirus Snap, using which you can detect more than 20 threats with just with user Snap, and in addition to address honeypots and poisoning attacks, this new version of the Snap detects 20 plus. So any token drainers, liquidity issues, and phishing attempts, you can detect all of that. And I'll quickly walk you through this. So malicious contract detection, as you can see, if you click on Web3 antivirus Snap, what you can see is unsanctioned asset transfers, unsanctioned token transfers, and 20 more risks. So you can detect all these risks if you use this Snap. This one is one of the snaps that I would highly recommend. Cool. And of course, we did a whole showcase of all the security snaps. As you can see, we have a whole thread over here, and I have shared a link to this as well in the chat. So definitely do check out these snaps. Cool. Meanwhile, anything to add, Francesco, Eric, Ziad?
I think we have a Christian that joined back. I don't remember what was the question, but was quite relevant.
It was about transactions and snaps, potentially when that feature might be available. So So a lot of the hackers.
It will take a while.
Mhm.
Will take a while, Christian said in the chat.
No problem. Yeah, Christian can address that in the chat, or if we have any other updates on it before we end the call, we'll bring up Christian.
Cool. So yeah, as we move forward, I'll quickly invite a bunch of more people on the call. But meanwhile, Eric, you can take over the SDK part. I'll quickly share my screen.
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah. So as I said before, my name is Eric Bichard. I'm the MetaMask DevRel manager and also an individual contributor for the SDK and MetaMask API. Really quickly, if you don't know much about the SDK, primarily it's a tool to ensure that developers can easily build in the capabilities into their dApp or application or game to connect to MetaMask Mobile from any platform, like I said, like the web, Unity game, iOS, or Android apps. And these different platforms, that's kind of what's meant here by support for native SDKs. So again, MetaMask SDK supports JavaScript. We have React components. We have also packages for iOS, Android, Unity SDK. And when you think about Unity, think about not only, kind of the C# kind of aspect of Unity, but also for kind of like WebGL. So actually the Unity SDK depends on the JavaScript core SDK for the WebGL stuff. So this just enables smoother integration of Web3 applications for connecting to MetaMask. And also like on the web, you can connect to extension or mobile. So it gives your user an option of which one to connect to. That's enough about kind of what SDK is. We'll go over a few features and kind of what's new. So Infura API Integration. So this enables developers to access network data without a wallet connection. So like read-only RPC methods, simplifying Infura API usage through the Unity and JavaScript SDKs, and just kind of overall enhancing the developer experience by use of that Infura API integration. We can go to the next slide. So recently we've made some updates beyond, just basically connecting to the MetaMask extension or mobile in the SDK. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, there we go. So some new features. We have quite a few new features since we've talked last time on a community call. One is EIP 6963 support. So the SDK is a package that is sometimes consumed by other libraries, or you can use it on its own. Either way, the support for EIP 6963 is in there for discovering and connecting to the MetaMask extension, right? So overall, EIP 6963 kind of helps to prevent windowed.ethereum hijacking. And this kind of new approach improves the overall user experience. And I think it also makes for a better developer experience too, if you take this approach as a developer. So it's a welcome change. And again, an alternative approach for detecting multiple users' wallets that are installed in the browser. Basically, you go to a dApp and you have maybe 2 different wallets installed. This makes sure that they get identified individually. And when you try to connect to either one of them, it doesn't try to connect to another wallet, which has been an issue in the past, but this kind of solves. So that's great. MetaMask has support for it. The SDK has support for it. And I'll talk in a minute about some of the third-party libraries that have support that also integrate the SDK. Beyond that, we have a new RPC method called connect and sign. And this is part of our JavaScript and iOS packages. So what this method allows you to do is connect to MetaMask and sign data, kind of connect to MetaMask and sign data in one single interaction. So basically what this method is doing behind the hood is sequentially calling the ETH_request accounts and the personal sign RPC methods. So it's kind of chaining them together. And so this is a method that we make available. I think the preview, the shared screen is gone. Anyways, I'll go ahead and go on. But I don't see our shared screen anymore. Here, let me see if I can pull pull it up.
I don't see it either.
So give me one moment. Manbir might have had an issue, so I will try to share. I just have to move some things around. All right, so let me go ahead and, oh, this is gonna be difficult. Share screen. Let's do, I'll do a tire screen in this one. And then we need to go to presenter view.
You beat me. I was almost sharing.
All right. So I believe this is where I left off. Right. So back to new RPC methods. We have connect and sign. Again, this kind of like chains together the ETH_request accounts and personal sign RPC methods. But also know that you can also do RPC chaining for your own custom flows. So RPC chaining is supported through a method called MetaMask_batch. And so now you can make multiple RPC requests all in one call. This is kind of the start to the MetaMask SDK becoming a real SDK. It's doing things above and beyond what you can do with the regular MetaMask API. And then if you don't have the SDK installed, that you can't do. So this kind of RPC chaining approach is a streamlined approach for interacting with the EVM networks and more complex actions like signing multiple transactions, switching networks, and sending consecutive transactions. So overall, it just helps to reduce the total number of networks calls being made to the MetaMask wallet. Web3 onboard and WAGMI integrations. So this is pretty big. Web3 onboard we've had around for a while. We've had support for that since I think even before we went out to ETH Istanbul. We're focusing on distribution through convenience libraries that devs already know and use. So, you know, just using the SDK by itself and the kind of scope of it, it connects to MetaMask. But when it's integrated into Web3 onboard or WAGMI 2.0 and above, which by the way, WAGMI also has support for EIP 6963. When it's integrated into these other libraries, it ensures that a developer who needs to connect to multiple wallets, but still wants to use the SDK so that they can connect to, you know, the extension in mobile and use all these awesome kind of RPC methods and chaining and stuff, that they can do it from a library that they already probably know and like to use. Again, Web3 onboard and WAGMI. Custom contract and NFT API libraries for Unity. Basically, you can interact with smart contracts from your Unity game with the MetaMask SDK installed. As long as you have the SDK installed and a contract ABI, or maybe even a hard hat artifact JSON file, we have a tool where you can kind of copy and paste this in, and you can generate the contract interface files using our code generator. So this automatically generates the backing types for all the contract interfaces to be used by the contract factory. So Unity devs can check this out on our docs to learn more about the generator and customizing your contract interactions through contract interfaces, factories, proxy classes, and providers. With that, I think we will go to the MetaMask API. So if I need, okay, Monbeer's back, so I'll go ahead and stop sharing now. But thank you so much. And if you have any questions about the SDK, let me know.
Cool.
Are we doing questions? Or are we moving on?
No, we'll do questions.
We're low on time, so we may just have to move on and do the questions at the end.
Yeah. Cool. I'll go ahead and share my screen real quick. Great. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this call, we have some more amazing guests with us. We have Vandan, we have Alexander, Shane, Zach, GC, Thomas as well. But Vandan, would you like to go first and introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. I'm the product lead for our API, and we have a couple updates to share with you today. I think we'll start off. I might actually go back to Eric because we do want to touch a little bit more on EIP 6963, which is this whole idea of being able to have a dApp connect with multiple wallets, which at the moment, while possible, it requires quite a few jumping through hoops and some unusual edge cases that crop up. And the industry's done, I think, a good job of moving forward with the standard EIP 6963, which attempts to resolve some of those issues, the contention issues that happen when there's multiple wallets, browser wallets installed. But what we still need is we still need developers to adopt that in their applications so that there's an end-to-end better user experience for Web3. So with that, I'll see if Eric can speak to some of the highlights on our support for EIP 6963.
Yeah, so I'm actually pasting an article real quickly into the chat. Also know that this is going to be a full-fledged blog over on our side, and that all of our documentation is being updated to include EIP 6963. The few things that I would say is EIP 6963, it's fairly new. A lot of developers don't either know about it or understand it. It's pretty simple from like a user's perspective, and I kind of touched on it already, where let's say that I had multiple wallets installed in my browser, and in my case, like I have another wallet that identifies as MetaMask. Now this happens out there. Before, using window.ethereum and without EIP 6963, sometimes when I clicked on a MetaMask button in a dApp, it would open one of these other wallets. So EIP 6963 makes sure that you can identify these providers that are installed in a user's user's browser, and that it uses a unique identifier and name in order to connect directly to the specific wallet. So that creates a better user experience. Overall, it can reduce the amount of times that you're interacting with window.ethereum or all times that you're using window.ethereum, depending on kind of how complex your application is. So it's an alternative approach to that. And there's some really great information in the article that I wrote, if you're a React developer, on how to get it set up kind of from a custom perspective. As well, there are libraries out there, which I cover in the article, that are supporting EIP 6963. And one of those is WAGMI 2.0 and above, which, by the way, also integrates the MetaMask SDK. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I did post the article in there. And London, did you have any other questions or anything else you think I should kind of cover around this?
No, I think, Eric is working on some updates, so more to come on that front with like code samples and all that. But definitely want to make sure it's a priority for developers to integrate into their experience so they can get the best sort of multi-way arrangement going. Thank you. If we could go to the slide with the wallet revoke permissions, I think it's slide 30. Yes, this one. Great, right there is good. So yeah, another update that we rolled out, I think this was in December, was the ability to revoke permissions. And this is something that I think developers have kind of worked around, where there's one step in connecting to MetaMask that involves getting permission to interact with accounts. But then there's not sort of a associated way to sort of remove those permissions. And so we saw a lot of, again, jumping through hoops to try and give users on a dApp the sense that they're disconnecting. But then oftentimes what would happen is if the user went away for a while and came back, then it would look like they were connected to those accounts again. So the idea here is to really improve that, to make it more synchronized with MetaMask's state on the permissions. And this is still a experimental feature, just available in our MetaMask extension. But we can go to the next slide. I think there's some more, a little example. So pretty simple method. right now, you can just supply ETH accounts as the parameter, that the permission that you want to revoke, and it will revoke permission for any accounts, all accounts that were connected. We are, I think we did want to do one where it was a little bit more granular, where you could say you can specify a specific account to disconnect, so it could be one by one. But right now, it basically will disconnect all accounts. If you go to the next slide, we can see. Let's see. I thought there was one more. There it is. So yeah, our MetaMask portfolio application is currently using this. They have in the settings for accounts, you can hit disconnect all, and that will essentially trigger this method. So we're kind of dogfooding that experimental method already in that forum, and we'll be looking to expand the functionality as we go forward. Yes, let's see if Thomas is around to talk about another change that's on the horizon. This is not implemented yet, but wallet swap asset is a new concept that we have.
Thanks, Adam. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? So thank you so much for having the time to listen to this proposal that we are working on. We currently are developing this MetaMask Improvement Proposal to extend the swaps feature to the apps. In this sense, we are looking for three main points. It's the developer experience, the user experience, and the security considerations that we need to have to ship this with good quality and ensure that it will be a feature that will enable all of the builders to use as well. In this sense, the swap asset JSON RPC method is pretty simple. It's abstract the swaps for the app can integrate them, and we are trying to, if you can give me a slide, please. We are trying to design it in a way that can have multiple features with it, so we can talk about multiple source of tokens. Swap multiple source of tokens. We are still investigating how would address the chain ID, because the chain ID we can think about inside of the EVM, or we can think about on a multiple network solution. We are still discussing that, and it's still a draft, so we appreciate your thoughts on it as well. Yeah, I think it's a good resume. I'm open for questions. And
I think we'll come back at the end. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hopefully, if you're still there, you can answer a few. But I know you might have to run.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So if we could go to the next slide. We mentioned MetaMask Improvement Proposals. We've talked about those in prior sessions, but for anyone who's new, we wanted to give a quick overview of what those are as well. And the purpose of MetaMask Improvement Proposals, kind of modeled after Ethereum Improvement Proposals. We also have Snap Improvement Proposals. So we've tried to kind of follow a similar approach. But essentially, we wanted to make sure that there's more visibility for any like changes that we're working on. We recognize that the MetaMask API is used quite broadly, and so any changes that are coming through could have significant implications for the community. And so we want to make sure there's enough early insight into what's coming and community participation in shaping what those APIs look like. We also want to use it as a forum for anyone to contribute ideas for making improvements. And it goes all the way from proposing like a design of a new API, modifying an existing API, and potentially even building it. Most of the time, we expect that our team will end up building it, just because we're a little more steeped in all of these areas. But we are open to the idea of others contributing. We have a lot of open source code, so the idea is to encourage others to execute on it as well. And then finally, the other thing we wanted to make sure we did was bring some of our approach around just API specifications. So we're using OpenRPC as a way to define our APIs in a very precise, machine readable way. And so all of the APIs that we're putting into these improvement proposals, we're speccing them out with OpenRPC. That way, anyone can come through and they can really see the source of truth on exactly how the API is expected to work. So that's a little bit on the purpose. Yeah, so when does this come into play? Clearly, if there's things where something doesn't work as expected, or we've got documentation improvements, you don't have to submit those through improvement proposals. But we have a MetaMask Snaps as an extensibility feature for MetaMask. It's an open beta, and there are a lot of capabilities there, but there may be some limitations. And in some cases, you might not be able to do what exactly you want to do with MetaMask Snaps. And so the API is another kind of route as a sort of fallback for using Snaps to introduce new methods. Now, by default, the MetaMask APIs are available to all dApps and all MetaMask users. So that's where there's a lot of sensitivities to how this process works. So I'll give a little overview of the process that we use for these improvement proposals. Next slide. So we do have some governance. Our engineering team, there's a group of API maintainers, and it's their job to oversee these APIs and balance a number of considerations. So a lot of times what is preferred from a developer perspective may not be what's best for the end user. And we also have to consider privacy and security as well, avoid any sort of introducing new attack vectors. And so there's a lot of considerations that come into play there. And then there's also some direction that MetaMask has as a product as well. So we don't want to create something that's sort of an offshoot that doesn't really go in the direction that MetaMask is going. And finally, one key feature that I think we've had with the API is maintaining backward compatibility as much as possible. We're very slow to fully deprecate things. And I think that's been a key feature for developers. So you're not sort of always forced to deal with those breaking changes. So we want to minimize those. And if we do have any, then we want to be very communicative about what those changes are and kind of timelines around any deprecations that are planned. Next slide. So process-wise, a proposal can come from our API maintainers. We have our own roadmap and things that we want to get done to improve the API. So there's some fundamentals there, but we also expect the community to submit proposals as well. We consider teams that are not directly these API maintainers who may still be part of MetaMask or Consensus to also be included in that community group. So we're, again, sort of dogfooding the community path through our own internal teams. But the first step is that you create a draft. Drafts, one thing we want to highlight is that it's okay to not have like our template fully filled out or have everything flushed out. You can submit something that's where you still recognize that there's some gaps in what you've put in place. and our team, the maintainers, will kind of comment and help you move that to the point where it's ready for the team to review. Once it's been reviewed, many changes will need some period where we want the community to review those changes before they're kind of finalized. And so we'll have a period for last call, and that's a good time to sort of take a final look. And if you see an improvement proposal that lands in this area, you want to definitely hop on that and pay attention. And then finally, once we have a stability on that last call stage, then we'll move it to accepted. And once it's been accepted, then we'll go off and work through the implementation, which kind of goes through a few stages as well. We have this idea of like an experimental stage that may still have some API changes before it becomes what we consider like a stable API. Which is more like ready for everyone to start using. Next slide. Oh yeah, I guess I talked about that. So yeah, we have things usually start off at stability 1, experimental, then they go to stable, and then if we need to deprecate them, they'll go back to 0 at deprecated. Next slide. So quick overview of the funnel of improvement proposals right now. So we, in the last year, we completed 2 proposals, MIP 1 and 2. One was for modifying the wallet watch asset method to support NFTs. And MIP 2 was this wallet revoke permissions. And those are still, again, at the experimental stage. And I think there's some work to do to kind of get those to be a little bit more final. They are only available through the MetaMask extension. Those need to be brought to mobile for consistency as well. And once those are in place, then we'll plan to move those to stable. And then we have a number of drafts in progress. Thomas just talked through wallet swap asset. We have another one proposing API versioning. And finally, we have a new one for our multi-chain API, which is still kind of pretty early, but one that is quite significant. So definitely the multi-chain API will be one to pay attention to. We will definitely do, in future calls, we'll go in more depth once that's really like what we consider a true draft stage, and getting closer to review, where we can walk through all the details behind that API. But you can take a peek at the PR if you're interested and see what's happening there as we work through it. And yeah, I think we just have some references here in case you need them. Mainly, I would just dive into the improvement proposal repo that kind of has a lot of information. There's a discussion section that you can just have general questions and topics to be covered on as well. So feel free to post your ideas and questions there as well. And that's all from us.
Awesome. I think we're good to jump into the Q&As, but before we do that, a quick update on some of the events that we're bringing to you. So we're doing these Dencun meetups. As you all might know, Ethereum Dencun upgrade is scheduled, and we are doing these meetups starting from end of January through March. So in order to follow these, definitely do follow Linear Build on Twitter. All these are already scheduled. Some of these already have a fixed date, as you can see on the slide. But those that you don't see a date on, you can follow Linear Build on Twitter to follow along and to be updated on whenever the date is announced. And a quick shout out to Emily from our team who's hosting these meetups. Cool. Apart from that, we are also going to be at ETH Denver as usual. So you can find us starting from Feb 23rd to March 3rd. You can find our team, ask questions and all that. But yeah, anything to add to these events, Christian, Francesco?
So at ETH Denver, we're going to be having bounties for MetaMask SDK, MetaMask Snaps, Gas API, Verax, and Linea. So if you're attending ETH Denver, if you're in the area and want to attend, know that at the hackathon, we have a lot of prizes and a lot of money going up for those MetaMask and consensus bounties. So definitely check them out. And if you have any questions about the event, meeting up with us while you're there, definitely just reach out to either me on Twitter, HTTP Junkie, or Ziad, Francesco, Manbir, any of us, and we can plug you in.
Perfect. Cool. With that being said,
I'm just gonna add, these bounties are 5,000 each. So there's 5 bounties, 5,000 each. Definitely come find us at the ETH Denver Hackathon. We'd love to help you with your projects, help you get onboarded. Definitely don't miss out on these bounties.
Awesome. Yep, definitely do find us at ETH Denver. We would love to speak with you and understand what you're trying to build. Cool. Anything to add to that, Francesco or Vandan?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys at ETH Denver next month. And make sure also, like, you guys are checking out our Snaps bounty, our SDK bounty. Will be coming out also with a cool video soon from Eric. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Cool. I think we're good to move to the Q&As. So I don't see a lot of questions in the chat, but I think.
Oh, were we still? I don't remember if Christian Montoya had answered the question about transactions and snaps, and the feature potentially becoming available in the future.
Yeah, I mentioned in the chat. So there's if you're using the Keyrings API, and I linked to it in our docs, I'll drop the link again. But if you're using the Keyrings API, then you can actually do any type of signature or transaction on behalf of an account. But that's for when you're using the Keyrings API, that is for a snap that is managing a unique account. So it's not trying to do a transaction from an existing MetaMask account. Other than that, if you have a snap and you want to try to initiate a transaction for an existing account, I would say estimate 6 months from now before that will be available.
That's good information.
Cool. And I saw a really interesting question by Colin in the chat, but he changed his question. But his question originally was, what's your favorite pizza topping?
Favorite what?
I see. What's your favorite pizza topping?
Oh my gosh.
That's fun. But yeah, shout out to Colin. Colin is amazing. He's the director of community at Consensus. But yeah, would you like to share anything? What's your favorite pizza topping, Eric?
Cheese. Like, if a pizza doesn't have cheese, I'm out. Like, that's all there is to it. Cheese and sauce, you got to have it. I don't care if it's light sauce, but it's got to have a little bit of both. White sauce, red sauce, something. Cheese.
Nice.
I think that's a pretty good answer. I think most people would agree with me.
And most people would agree. Cool. I think we have another question from Colin. That's what's the best way to use the SDK through WAGMI?
Yeah, so the SDK, I think there's kind of 2 ways to approach the SDK. And one is to just pull the SDK into your project and kind of use it, kind of set up your own context provider in like a React application and manage the state of the wallet. It's a lot of work, but some developers do want to do that. However, if you want to know the easiest kind of happy path, and in my opinion, kind of the best way to do it, right? So MetaMask SDK already wraps WAGMI hooks in some of our packages. For instance, like the the React components and the MetaMask SDK React. So, or sorry, just the React components. But still, if you are using WAGMI 2.0 and above, WAGMI supports not only EIP 6963 now, but also integrates with the SDK. So you have a few imports that you need to bring in that are the basic WAGMI imports that you would probably already have in your project if you're already using it, and the MetaMask connector. We have, I don't have it updated in my workshop yet, but I have a SDK React workshop, which by the end of this week will have a branch just for WAGMI, although it's not that hard. You can go to the WAGMI website and I can throw a link in there to that. So my answer, that's a long answer. Short answer is WAGMI or Web3 on board. And especially if you already use one of these packages, right? And that ensures that as a developer who's going to production with an application, that you can not only connect to other wallets, but MetaMask, MetaMask extension, and MetaMask mobile.
Perfect. Really insightful. Thanks for sharing that. Christian?
Yeah, I was going to say, to add to that, like, there's the SDK supports different environments. If you're already using WAGMI, the great thing is you can just use the SDK with WAGMI now. It makes it super simple. But if you're doing if you're doing Unity, there's really nothing out there that allows you to like connect to a wallet from Unity. And the MetaMask SDK for Unity is like you can go into the Unity asset store and just pull it in, right? So definitely, I would say if you have a project in one of these environments, let's say you have like a game on Unity or you have like a desktop application, right, and you're like building with it and you're curious about it, just reach out to us and we'd love to hear more about it, and we can give you more advice and help you as you're working on your project.
The one other thing I'll also add too is if you visit the link that I just put in the chat, you're going to notice a little message on the page that WAGMI, WAGMI wants to be kind of very clear to everyone, kind of what they suggest. My suggestion is that it's not actually a better option than Wallet Connect. And I'm not saying that for any reason, that as a developer, I really do feel it's better. As the SDK releases its 1.0 version, there should no longer be any issue with the NPM package size. And even right now, it doesn't significantly affect your application when using that package, right? It's just a large package size that you install as an NPM package. So, but the point is, like, if you're using WAGMI already, check that out. Create a branch on your project and pull it in, see how it works for you. And if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, if you have any concerns, reach out directly to me at HTTP Junkie on Twitter. And I can either send you source code, examples, demos, whatever you need. Hop on a Zoom call. I'm there for you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for all the support, Eric. Definitely feel free to reach out anyone if you have any questions, any suggestions. The next question we have is from Shubham. Can we share some insights and valuable learnings from this and tag you on LinkedIn? Definitely, Shubham. That would be awesome. Definitely do feel free to share any of the key takeaways from this session. If you have screenshots, definitely feel free to share them across, since this is an open and public call as well. And if you have any questions, you can also feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or Twitter. But yeah, I believe that's pretty much it. We don't have a whole bunch of questions today, but let me still go through the whole chat to see if I'm missing out on something.
Yeah, I was also just adding that, like, if anyone is using the SDK in a production app or thinking to go to production, also reach out to us, whether it's help that you need or if it's already in production, we can feature you on one of our upcoming community calls.
Absolutely. Cool. Kristen asked, Manbir, what's your favorite part of today's call? Oh, I actually do have a lot of closing questions from, I mean, not exactly questions, but would love to just hear from you all as well. The same thing, what was your key takeaway? But for me, it was really exciting seeing all the project demos from ETHGlobal Istanbul hackathon, and definitely all the updates that the MIP team has been pushing, all the updates that SDK team has been pushing. We definitely did not have a lot of Gas API projects to showcase this time, but we hope to do that in the upcoming community calls. But there were some really good projects during ETH India as well. So yeah. But yeah, any closing remarks from you, Kristen, Vandan, Eric, anyone?
I mean, I second that. Seeing the demos for Snaps is always great. Being able to hear about some of the hackers, what went well for them, even the things that didn't go well, because that allows us to address those things. But I really, as someone who doesn't use Snaps on a daily basis, I love seeing those demos because it gives me a good idea of understanding what are good use cases for Snaps. So that's one of the reasons I like to see as many demos around Snaps as possible.
Awesome. Cool. Let me quickly also check with Alex and Shane, since we didn't get to hear a lot from you on this call. Anything to add, Alex, Shane?
Nothing from me. Just Vandan covered it. We've got a lot of exciting stuff that we're going to be sharing in the next call. Just a lot of stuff that's been kind of cooking for a while regarding some multi-chain updates that we've been working on for a long time, and very excited to be sharing those. So please do tune in next time because we're going to have a lot more updates.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah, I just want to say also go check out the docs. docs.metamask.io.
Yeah, adding to that, if you don't know already, if you go to our docs and go to the reference section, any RPC endpoint that you kind of take a look at in our document section, you can try out directly in the browser. So Shane and Zach, a long time ago, built a playground tool that since last year has been integrated into our documentation. So, if you want to try out like switching chains, which is one of the easier RPC methods to use, you can just try it out and see what it looks like right there in the browser, see the code for it and everything. So that's super helpful. And I also think it's one of the things that a lot of developers don't know that it's there. Even sometimes when you go to the page and look at it to get some information about that specific RPC call, you might not realize on the right-hand side, you can add parameters and test it out directly in your browser.
Yeah, last thing I'm going to share is when you're on a page in the docs at the bottom, there's these buttons that say, was this page helpful? Yes or no. We actually look at that feedback. So if you see a page that's confusing, click no. And if a bunch of people click no, then we'll know, okay, we need to rewrite this page. If you see a page and it was helpful, click yes, and that will let us know, okay, we're doing a good job. We are constantly updating the docs, and your feedback is always helpful.
Cool. Anything to add, Francesco, Vandan?
I think that was one of the best calls. I think it's great, very packed. Oh, sorry, go for it, Vandan.
I made one comment about EIP 6963. I think that's one thing that it may not feel like a priority, but I think in terms of your end users will thank you, because I think the reality is we recognize people have multiple wallets. They don't want to have to uninstall those browser wallets. So if you implement that on your dApp, people will thank you.
Cool. I don't see a lot of other questions in the chat, so I think we're good to go. But I see a lot of excitement for ETH Denver. And I see Colin is saying EIP 6963 is awesome, which it definitely is. Awesome call, learned a lot of things. Thanks a lot, Shubham. Thanks for joining. Cool. I think we're on time as well. So thanks a lot for joining, everyone. It's been great having you all with us, and stay tuned for future community calls as well. Do follow us on Twitter, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified about future community calls as well. And looking forward to meeting you all. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.